To crack CAT, you need a lot of practice, and you can practice by taking Krako's free mock. Just Google search Krako free CAT mock. Follow the link to get the free mock. We have put in a free mock with the latest pattern and with detailed solutions. Hi friends, welcome to Krako's video series. I'm Sayali. I'm one of the co-founders of Krako and an alumna of IIM Ahmedabad. In today's video, we'll just be discussing what you should and should not do in the last 4 days before CAT. So as you would know that CAT is on November 25th. So before CAT, what you should and should not do, we'll be covering that through this video. So I'm assuming that you have spent at least some time preparing for CAT. You have put in the requisite amount of effort, studied formulae, practice, solved mocks, etc. So in the last few days, what you should do essentially is you should try to make sure that you don't have any blind spots remaining, you don't have any very weak areas that you could easily address with a little bit of effort, and you should always make sure that you have you revise whatever you have learned over, like say, if you have been preparing for 6 months or 3 months, whatever, you have make sure that you revise at least the formulae and an approach to solving questions, so that you are clear about how you should get started on solving the question. Once you get started on solving the question, your practice, your effort, the things that you know kick in, and then you'll be able to solve the question completely. So it's important that you revise in the last few days. So what we recommend, so T-4 is like 4 days before CAT. So 4 days before CAT, what you should essentially do is spot fix. So what does spot fix do? So you will definitely have some areas where which are either weak areas or essentially topics which you don't like solving, topics that you avoid, or essentially anything where you have not put in a lot of effort. So for example, there are some students who are not very comfortable with probability, combinatorics, etc. It's fine if you don't actually attempt those questions, but because of the lack of interest or lack of attempt, what would happen is that you would become very rusty in a particular topic, and that would actually impact your ability to solve even very easy questions from that topic. So I'm not saying that you should solve every question from every topic, but you should attempt in a way, the way you should prepare is that you should be able to solve all the easy questions from all the topics, irrespective of whether the topic is your favorite or least favorite or most favorite. You should not leave a easy question from any topic. So in case you have avoided a topic, if you have ignored a topic, make sure that you put in some time so that you are able to solve all easy questions and medium to easy questions from that particular topic. The next thing that you should obviously do is revise formulae. So we have put up QA, VARC revision and DILR revision videos. Just make sure that you watch those videos, go through all the formulas. So you should, for QA, you should not only go through the formulae. The thing is that just reading a formula doesn't stick in your mind. The only thing that you actually remember is how to apply a formula, and you will remember how to apply a formula only if you immediately use it in some way. So if you immediately take a particular question based on that formula, or see an example of solved example of that formula, will that formula actually stick in your mind? So always make sure that after you read a formula that you are not very comfortable with, not very familiar with, you see a solved example using that formula, or you solve an example yourself, so that you immediately see how this formula is to be used. So this is how you revise. You see all the formulas that are there, and you also see how those are applied, because knowing a formula, reading a formula is one thing. Actually being able to recall it in exam in the right context is a different thing. So always make sure that while you are revising the formulae, you see a solved example for every major formula as such. So that is QA revision. For VARC, revise the approach. So you should know what all things you should do. The minute you see a paragraph, a passage, you see an RC, we have discussed this in detail in the VARC revision. Just make sure you know the approach for solving VARC, how you are going to attempt the section, whether you're going to do RC first, PJs or PS first, that depends on you. But always make sure you have a approach, like the strategy down. So my strategy when I approach RC is that I read each paragraph. For each paragraph, I write the main point down. I write the overall main point down, so that by doing this exercise again and again, I get a very good sense of the RC as such. That is my way of tackling in RC. Make sure you have your approach down so that you don't get any last minute jitters the minute you read an RC in the exam hall. What generally happens in the exam center is that if you don't have a strategy, if you go with a blank mind, what might happen is that you see an RC and you're so overwhelmed by the situation that you're not reading the RC easily. You're not able to concentrate on the RC as such. So students just continue reading without making an active note of anything, and that makes the first read through useless as such. People read through one time in an RC and they are not able to register anything. So make sure you have an approach down where you are able to write down the main point of each paragraph, so that you will be able to read the paragraph, read the passage in one go, and you'll have you'll understand the passage in one go in that way. Otherwise, the nerves will get the better of you on exam day. So make sure that you revise all the formula in QA, all the concepts in QA. You revise what would be your approach for VARC, and for DILR, make sure that you take a look at so in our revision video, we have basically revised what are the proper representation formats for the different types of DILRs that have come in CAT. So for DILR, revise the representation formats. So basically representation format means like, should you represent this information as a table? Should you make a root network out of it? Should you draw a, so for scheduling we have a particular bar chart kind of figure. For roots and networks we draw a network diagram. So depending on the type of DILR, we have discussed what is the right way to represent the information. So go through that representation format once so that you have revised all of that. So this is our strategy for revision of QA, VARC, DILR as such. The last thing you should do is, this is the last day, 4 days before CAT is the last day, you should take a proper mock as such. After that, don't take mocks. You can solve, you have to continue solving questions, but don't take a full mock, because try to conserve your mental energy, your everything till the last day as such. So beyond this day, if you want to take a mock, this is the last day you can take a mock. Beyond this, you can't take a mock. I would recommend not taking sitting down and taking a proper mock as such, because it will be draining on you. Unnecessarily, it will drain you of energy that you should conserve till the actual day. So the important thing is that you make sure that if this is the mock you're taking, you put in your the best attempt that you can on this day, so that you are trying to emulate what is going to go through, what kind of strategy you are going to go through on the actual day in this particular attempt. So how you are going to solve, what questions you are going to attempt, what questions you are going to leave, what order you are going to solve in. See, the question format is almost out in the test format is out on their, they have given a mock test on IMCAT site, so you can go through that. So that will not undergo a whole lot of change. So you should have a strategy down as to the order of questions that you are going to actually attempt. Are you going to do RC first? Are you going to do PJs and PS first? So go through all of that, and the one way you will see what works for you. If you have gone through many iterations of how to attempt, etc., make sure your chosen way of attempting, your chosen strategy, put it to work in the last mock, so that you know exactly how the actual exam day is going to go. So that is what you should do in T-4 day. Now the T-3 day is, as I said, continue revising formulae. Make sure you do all the 3 revisions, QA revision, DILR revision and VARC revision. The thing that a lot of people miss out on is analyzing mocks, especially coming into CAT. What happens is that you tend to take a lot of mocks, you tend to answer previous papers, etc. But you don't get time to analyze the mocks. So as I said, this is a T-4 was the last day you could actually take a mock. So T-3 onwards, you should start analyzing the mocks. So what do I mean by analyzing mocks? So just basically open up your mock, see all your incorrect questions. Especially in QA, the incorrect questions point to either concepts that you don't know or formulas that you don't know. if you've already finished your revision, just make sure that you have actually covered the concept or the formula in your revision. So this question, if you see now, you should be able to answer today. Second thing that you should see is that are there any areas where you obviously go wrong? For example, there are some students who are not able to grasp how a particular formula is applied, or are not able to grasp what are the finer details of it. For example, some students tend to make a mistake in metric like the conversion of units in time, speed and distance. So make sure that you understand what was going wrong in, say, like the last 5 marks. So you know exactly where you were making a mistake, and wherever you are making a mistake, make sure that you immediately make a mental note of what you need to do correctly. So if it was some formula that you didn't know, just make sure that you now know the formula and now know its application as such. So just keep on going through the mocks, that you last 4-5 mocks, and make sure that you see all the incorrect and skipped questions and you know what exactly went wrong, and you make sure that you won't make the same mistake if a similar question comes in actual CAT. So that is what I mean by revising, analyzing mocks. You should deep dive into mocks and make sure, why am I making a mistake here? So if you understand that and you're able to correct on that, you will not make the mistake on actual CAT day. So the last thing is that you need to do is practice on weak areas. A lot of students tend to ignore some areas, or there are areas where you're not very good at, but you continue to attempt a lot of questions on it. So in Krakow mocks, you will be given a Krakow matrix graph like this. So what is a Krakow matrix graph? It gives you, on the y-axis, it shows you your accuracy percentage in the Krakow mock, and on the x-axis you have the attempt rate. So if you can see, it is like split up into 4 quadrants: first, second, third and fourth. So the first quadrant is all those topics where you are good at it, as in your accuracy is more than 50%, and you are attempting questions also out of it. For example, for this student, for these topics the accuracy is 100%, that is, he gets all the questions from that particular topic well. So for him, these are areas of strength. So this essentially tells the student what are the areas that he is very good at. So you should know, mentally you should make a note of what are your topics that you are very good at. Similarly, you should also make sure that if you are, like for example, these are areas where his accuracy is 100% but his attempt rate is low. That means that he is good at this, but he has just not gotten to answering questions from that particular topic. So essentially what you should do while seeing this is that you make a list of what are your areas of strength. So areas of strength are essentially areas where you have a very good accuracy rate. Weak areas are those where you have a poor accuracy rate. For example, this student has this is a poor area and this is a poor area. For him, he solved half of the questions that came from this particular topic and no questions from this topic, but his accuracy rate was 0%. So what does this tell you? That you should probably spend less time on these questions because they are weak areas. On the other, at the same time, when you have time 3 days before CAT, just find out what all these areas are where your accuracy is not great and try to see what you can do to improve this accuracy. See whether more practice will help in improving accuracy in this area, and see whether trying to kind of see essentially videos or solved examples from this particular topic, see what can help you improve the accuracy of the areas where your accuracy is below 50%. So essentially, when I say practice on weak areas, try to identify the areas where your accuracy is less than half. If your accuracy is less than half, you need to either decide that there is no amount of practice will make me better at this, and then you have to make sure that it is not big enough for you to actually lose out on marks in the actual CAT. Or you should decide, okay, I'm going to spend some time, 3 hours today, making sure I solve as many questions from this topic so that I tide over to like 60 or 70% accuracy rate. So that is what you should try to do here. When you're analyzing mocks, make a list of all the topics you're doing decently in that are your areas of strength, and also try to identify what are the areas of weakness. And you should get some idea into why you're making those mistakes. Once you understand why you're making those mistakes, then you need to go into those areas and try to make sure that you plug in the gaps. So that is what you should do 3 days before CAT. Now 2 days before CAT, now the time for revision is kind of over. Just make sure, for example, Krakow puts up a lot of cheat sheets as such. So cheat sheets are essentially for each topic, we just put up a list of formulas. So there isn't explanation, there aren't any solved example, just a list of formulas. You go to any topic in Krakow, in CAT, you will find for each topic page, you will find a cheat sheet available. And these cheat sheets you can download, you can print them out, and you can keep them handy. And what you should do is, you should make sure that you scan through it so that you know all these formulas and just keep solving. Whenever you hit a roadblock, you're not able to solve a particular question, go to this cheat sheet and just scan it and see again, is it because you don't know of particular formula? Is it because there's something that is missing or some concept that you don't know that is stopping you from answering this question properly? The cheat sheets are free, so all students of Krakow can use the cheat sheets as such. Now this is the last day of preparation, so make sure you don't tax yourself too much. Just put in essentially what we have always said is that put in consistent effort so that you live up to your potential. Your effort should be such that you are not putting all your effort on the last day or the second last day. That won't help. This is a day where you should essentially practice and make sure you're tying loose ends. So this is not the day when you should either panic and start reading for the first time, because that won't help. If you feel that there are certain weak areas, you can practice more in those areas. Just solve questions. So essentially, as I had said earlier in a particular video, what I had done before CAT, when I gave my CAT, the week before CAT, I kind of just sat myself down with a bunch of previous papers and books, and I just kept solving. The thing that happens when you just focus on just solving questions from quant, from RCs and parajumbles, just if you focus just on solving, what happens is that you get into this zone where each question, just look at the question and don't think of things like whether you are able to solve from a particular topic or not. Once you get into this zone that, okay, I'm just going to keep solving as much as possible with the time I have without exhausting myself too much, then you kind of remove things that are that will nag at your head if you're like if you're not doing things. For example, 2 days before CAT, 1 day before CAT, you are filled with a lot of self-doubt. So if you're like focused on solving as such, this helps you remove those that are the elements of self-doubt, whether you're good enough or not. Because if you keep solving and you're able to solve one question after another, then this will build up your confidence. Going into CAT, self-confidence is key. So make sure don't go into areas where you find are like extremely troubling or extremely challenging, because just focus on working on the weak areas slightly before CAT. 2 days before CAT, work on the overall big picture areas as such. Do not work on areas that are your weak areas, because you don't want your self-confidence shaken just this close to CAT. Try to build up your confidence. Essentially solve questions that will make you feel that you can answer questions. Don't solve questions that are too hard or way beyond CAT level, because this will actually be detrimental to your self-confidence and it will actually hamper how you will do on CAT day. So actually the best things that you could solve before CAT are previous CAT papers. Over the years, CAT has become easier, and this just means that if you take CAT quant in the last if you take actual CAT quant, you will see that most of the CAT quant questions are easier than what you would find outside of your actual CAT papers. So make sure that you are not doing anything that will shake your self-confidence or your self-belief. It is very important that when you go into your CAT examination center, you believe that you will be able to solve all the questions. That belief is what will actually help you start answering questions. What often happens is that if students enter the examination center in a negative mindset, they spend a lot of time not being able to solve even one question. It's not because that they don't know how to solve it, it's just they don't know how to get started. So make sure that 2 days before CAT you just solve. solve from areas you are good at, solve from areas that you enjoy solving. This day should be spent on just building up your self-confidence as such. So this is your last day of preparation. One day before CAT, don't do anything. Rest, watch movies, just relax. The reason for this is that like physical exercise, solving also is a mental exercise, and it is also exhausting. If you, the day before your marathon, you wouldn't run another marathon, right? Because if you ran a marathon, the next day you won't be able to run again because your muscles will be tired. Similarly, if you have to maximize your ability to solve things, if you are ability to understand, read and understand paragraphs, read and understand questions, you have to make sure that you take adequate rest the day before. So for the day before a marathon, you need to, you basically should not do a lot of physical activity. Similarly, the day before CAT exam, don't do a lot of mental activity. See things that would actually relax you, may help you unwind and help you essentially get into a calm state of mind. So if talking to your friends makes you calmer, do that. If that makes you actually anxious, then avoid doing that. Make sure that you are rested and calm. Essentially, CAT is a, it's very important that going into CAT, you believe that you are able to solve questions, you have the self-confidence, and you are not panicking or you are not nervous. What I would say is that think of how you are going to actually do things on that day. What I find useful is mentally rehearsing how a particular day is going to go through. For example, if I have to pack for a journey, I mentally think, okay, I'm going to need to pack my tickets, I'm going to pack my clothes, I'm going to take my suitcase down and I'm going to sit in a cab, I'm going to go to the airport, I'm going to check in. Because this mental rehearsal firstly helps me calm down and focus on the things I need to do, and it also is in a way that mental rehearsal helps you in actually performing the things properly. So if you are thinking of CAT, a mental rehearsal would be that, okay, you're going to get up on this at this time of the day, then you're going to get ready, you're going to pack these things, you're going to make sure you eat before you go to your exam center. Your exam center is here, you will get into either a cab or a rickshaw or whatever. This is how you will reach your exam center, this is what you're going to do. So if you mentally rehearse the steps before a particular day, it helps you calm down and it also helps you perform all the things better the next day. So if you think of it, if you sit down at the exam center, this is how you're going to look at the paper, this is what you're going to do. If you mentally go through that, if you're able to picture it in your mind that you're calm and relaxed in your exam center, then your chances of doing the same on the next day are actually higher. So just rest, make sure that you are you do not do anything that is either taxing or increasing anxiety the day before CAT. I would suggest that visit your exam center. For a lot of us, the exam center would be quite far away because quite a few centers are outside the city limits at times, because those are the only areas which are able to accommodate large contingent of students as such. But if you are able to visit the exam center, do that. As I said, it helps in the entire mental rehearsal process. If you get into the mental rehearsal well, where you are able to understand, okay, this is what I have, this is where I have to come, I'll come here, I'll sit down here, etc. Once you get into that mental rehearsal process, it produces a calming effect on you, because then you are in, you get into this mode, okay, I can do this, this is easily doable, there is not a lot of doubt or anxiety involved in those kind of things. So if you are able to go to the exam center, do that. Prepare your plan for tomorrow. As I said, you should know when you should get up, you should know how you are going to go to the exam center and what things you are going to take along with you. The CAT examiners have given a video of all the things that are needed. So you need your admit card, you need to affix your photograph to the admit card, you need an ID proof, and the ID proof should be in good condition. Apart from that, there are some certain other things that are required for, like, say, PWD candidates, etc. So make sure that you see the video and you pack accordingly. Pack everything that you need for the actual day. Also make sure you pack some change, because though the exam video says that the test center will not give you any place to keep your bag and all. So don't take anything that is valuable. but also take something like 20-30 rupees, because you might have to give the there are generally places where you can keep your bag outside exam center. I'm not saying that it will be the case for all exam centers, but some exam centers have that facility, but they charge you for it. So make sure you have 20-30 rupees, nothing too much that you will be like devastated on losing, etc. But make sure you are able to think of all the things that you need to do before the exam, so that there is no uncertainty, there is no doubt in your mind. If you go through these steps, then you actually have a much more calmer outlook entering the exam center as such. So as I said, this is what you should do leading up to the exam. On the exam day, just remember that you have done everything you could. Believe in yourself. Remember that you have done a lot to reach that particular stage on exam day. You would have gone through a lot of mocks, a lot of practice questions, a lot of concepts, put in hours of work. But all that matters is that how you perform on that particular exam day. And the only thing standing between you and your desired percentile is your nerves. Make sure you handle your nerves well. There's a particular this anecdote that like comes to my mind whenever I think of nerves. So for example, there was a former India captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni was asked, why do you always take your batting till the last over as such? Why do you always take run chases till the last over? And he basically said that I know that in the last over, if it's a question of nerves, and if it's a question of nerves between my nerves and the nerves of the bowler, I know that I'm able to handle nerves better. I know that I'm calmer person. So if it goes till the last over, I know I'll win, because I'm able to hold my nerves better than my opponent. So that's the whole thing that you should think of, that if this is you at 90 percentile and this is you at 99 percentile, the only difference between these two is not preparation, because preparation is now already baked in. You have put in all the effort that you would have over the period of time leading up to CAT. So that is not going to be the difference. If there are two possibilities, the only difference between these two possibilities is nerves. The how you deal with your nerves on the exam day will determine whether you end up with a 90 percentile or lower, or whether you end up with 99 percentile or higher. That will be the only difference as such. So make sure that you believe you are able to solve questions. So that's why I said that actively work on building your self-confidence before CAT. So solve questions on T-2 days, solve questions that you're good at. Know that going into CAT, that a lot of students will not have put in as much time and effort as you have done. So know that you are actually able to solve the questions that will come into CAT. Self-confidence is key. If you believe you are going to solve the question, then only will you actually be able to start solving the question. This has happened to me personally, where the first time I gave CAT, I was so anxious about it that I just kept reading the question paper for 20 minutes and froze. I didn't start answering questions for the first 20 minutes. Because the problem with anxiety or nerves is that it prevents you from living up to your potential. So make sure that you believe when you enter the exam hall, you believe that this is something that you can do. You can solve these questions. These are easily doable. Because most people, students of ours, come out of the exam hall and they realize, okay, this was a pretty trivial question. I should not have stumbled on this. So the question is not hard. You will be able to solve it if you are able to handle your nerves. Just believe this while you enter the exam center, and you will be able to do well in CAT. How you handle the nerves on that particular day is going to be the decider as such. So just believe in yourself, be confident of your ability, and be in a positive frame of mind on the exam day. So that's all I have to say for all my students before CAT. Be positive about how you should approach CAT. If you have worked this hard, if you have put in this much effort, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Believe in yourself that you will actually be able to do well in CAT, and get into a positive frame of mind. Thank you, and thank you for tuning in, and best of luck for the exam.